Hi, this is Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, the President, Founder, and Chief Listening Officer here at our network at USA Global TV and Radio. Thank you so much for your loyalty. Thank you so much to all of our guests, to our team members, to our sponsors, and to all of our elevated listeners. Here at USA Global TV and Radio, we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. We celebrate all of our team members, all of our guests, and all of our sponsors from around the world who come and lead their lives with their hearts to help other people walk into their greatness. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com, and book your session. Please contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com and subscribe to our channel. Hello, everyone, and a big welcome from all over the world, wherever you are. We're so happy to have you. I happen to be in South Florida in the United States, and our show today is The Art of Creating Mental Health Wealth. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. If you haven't met me before, I'm the President, Founder, and Chief Listening Officer here at our network, where we celebrate elevated listening. Our topic today is women and our relationship with money. We've got a great guest backstage. Before we bring her out, let's welcome the star of our show, JENETTA Barry, who's joining us from Kenya. Woo, sounds so exotic. Welcome. How are you today?
I'm okay. I shed my leopard skin to come onto the show today.
You know, it is interesting because
people used to ask me that.
They did? Wow. I think wherever in the world, somebody else might think that, hey, that's a really cool place. That's really exotic. It's really exciting. And we're living there. We're going, oh, I don't know so much about that, but it does sound like Kenya is very exciting.
In fact, it's very special. And for our viewers and listeners, Dr. JACALYN and I are on again tomorrow night to talk global adventures. And we normally bring in some quite exotic guests with amazing experiences from their travels around the world to share with you. And tomorrow night, I'm going to share one of mine, which is I recently got married and we went on honeymoon to a Great Rift Valley lake, which is fascinating. So yeah, come and join us.
I'll look forward to that as well, JENETTA. So JENETTA, today we're going to be talking about a topic that you and I have spoken about. I speak to people about on a regular basis. It's money. It seems like when we really need it, we can't get it. And then when we have it, we think we're going to have it forever and maybe make some decisions that might not be the best. But there's always, it's kind of like this love-hate relationship with money. And I know I have a similar kind of relationship with food. So we're going to be finding out some things today that's how maybe we can make some better choices, make some better decisions, and then be at peace so we're not always tormenting ourselves. But how would you describe your relationship with money?
My relationship with money, I very easily beat myself up about what I'm not managing to do with my money. And it comes in a lot of flow, and then it can go into an equal amount of ebb. It's an ebb. It's very easy for me to go, okay, you're not succeeding, forgetting that the ebb and flow is part of the cycle of life. And that's why it's called currency, because currents work in cycles. And I have to pull back and go, okay, this is the down cycle, the downtrend that businesses talk about. And that is why I've invited our guest today, because she's actually one of the community of Your Global Village, Dr. JACALYN, which is something that I've talked about often on this platform. It's a village on the metaverse, and we all have our own merchant houses in these visual villages. It's amazing, and Susan is part of that, and I can't wait to have her up here, because what I've been so impressed with Susan Ritter, our guest, is that she has the most wonderful feminine of approaching everything to do with money that has a lot of male energy attached to it, but with that gentle femininity. And the other part that's impressed me is how spiritual she is, because often so many of us are operating in a masculine kind of world where money is very masculine and it gets pushed around. And this lady's intuition and perception and ability to embrace the intuitive side and combine it with money is why I'm so honored and pleased to have her on the show today. And she owns a company called Wealthy Wise Woman, and she helps to empower women to build their self-directed wealth strategy rather than work from that place of where I can go from time to time, or even being fearful about money. And I believe that many of us as women have been molded by what our parents said or didn't say. And so it's without much more ado that I would like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, Susan Ritter. Welcome, Susan, to our show today.
Hi, JENETTA. Hi, JACALYN. Thank you so much, JENETTA, for that wonderful introduction and really a great segue into what we're talking about and how I feel about money and why it's important for people. So I'm great. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. And you probably heard Jeanette and I were speaking just a few minutes ago about the fact that many of us, especially women, we don't have a great relationship with money.
I'm not hearing you.
Jeanette, are you able to hear me?
I can hear you, and I can hear Susan as well.
Can too.
Okay, can you hear us now?
No, it's not. Okay. It's not coming through.
All right,
so
I suggest she comes back. I've got something to show in the meantime.
Okay.
All right, so whilst we wait for Susan to return to us, and hopefully she can hear us again, I mentioned just now that Susan's part of your global on the metaverse. And it's been an amazing experience. It's an app that allows you to have your virtual office on the metaverse with amazing graphics. And I had my launch last week where I launched, well, they launched for me my office and inside my merchant house in this beautiful medieval square, beautifully done. And I was able to launch 5 new products for corporates and entrepreneurial and solopreneurs as well. And Susan's been some time on the Global Village platform. I thought I'd show you Susan's office on your Global Village. So Dr. Jack, pull up your Global Village. This is her office in Global Village Square. So it's saying take a closer look. And if you look here, actually maybe we should go back again because it does go around. Now I've lost my lip. Here it comes. So interesting. I think I'm having an interesting time with my
I think while you are
internet.
you're figuring, yeah, I think while you're figuring that out, we'll take a quick commercial break and then we'll come back. And hopefully Susan will log out and log back in. All right, here we go. You feel so frustrated. Why won't anybody hear what you have to say? You're filled with anxiety. You feel so isolated and alone. You're desperate for a connection with someone out there in a world that just seems to keep rushing by. Stop. You have a choice. Learn how to listen at an elevated level through the Power of Listening educational courses available on usaglobaltv.com. A world where you manifest everything you need and desire through the power of listening. The Power of Listening educational courses are available today for you to feel and know you have connected and you have been heard through elevated listening skills. The Power of Listening educational courses and children's books available today on usaglobaltv.com. Okay, that's our new ad for the Power of Listening courses, JENETTA. And we're back.
And those wonderful 3 children's books. Wonderful.
Yes. Thank you so much. So Susan is not backstage, but if you want to, we'll take a look now. It looks like this is...
we'll have a look. It's behaving now. So this is Susan's virtual office on the metaverse. And what I love about the creators of this whole metaverse office is that absolutely everything in that office space is symbolic and tells a story or backs up everything that Susan represents with her work and who she is. So there's a little bit of personal stuff in there and a little bit of her work as well. And what I love about it is that it's entirely possible. It's been designed in such a way that if you wanted to replicate that whole office in actuality, you can. It's been designed to be able to do it. So you'll see that the picture on that wall with the net and the feather, there's a story there. And if you go onto the website, those stories are captured. Why she's got what looks like a tree in round the table sitting there, covering it over, and what that represents. And then these little cubicles with lace curtains and what they do there. It's really quite spectacular. And it enables you to go in further and see what's there. There's a workshop that's coming on. It allows the people within the actual metaverse to in the village to be able to interact with each other and collaborate and support. So it's a great networking, because I find networking in big groups just overwhelms me. And here you can be together, and there's only 18 to 20 of you in that square. And already the collaborations for me have been really heart-opening. And that's where I met Susan, and she's doing amazing work. And you can see those are her suite of products: Financial Independent Masterclass, a Super WIN Strategy Program, a Financial Freedom Workshop Series, a 6-week SAFE Lifestyle Investment Mastermind, and an SAFE Lifestyle Investment Program. And it's all there to have a look at and to take you to her website itself. So I thought I'd share that as a matter of interest, and you can go to there and have a look. And have we got our guests back or not, Dr. Jacalyn?
Yes, we do. Let's bring her on. Welcome back, Susan.
Yes.
Hello. Sorry about that. We're having some difficulty. Hopefully we'll hang on this time.
Perfect. Susan, the office space looks quite impressive. Can you tell us what's coming up for you as you're looking at this on television? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. I love being in that community, and I use those environments when I work with my people. I share those backgrounds so that they feel like they've come into my space. We are really moving into that metaverse idea where we can have a space that we share with other people, even though we can't be in the same room with them. And it's really important because my clients are around the world. I have clients in Australia and South Africa and the UK and Europe, France, and then of course through North America. So having that consistent space that where I feel like I can bring them into my world is really nice in my business. It's great.
Yeah, I really love it. So tell us, Janetta brought up a few things, but tell us about the services that are available through this virtual office that you have and the work that you do.
Right. So I work with women because I think that when it comes to money and finances, women have not had the same opportunities that men have had. And as a result, and it goes way back to the beginning. It goes back to when we were really considered chattel. We were considered one of those products that fathers passed to our husbands. And we were just sort of part of that financial transaction. And that is in our psyche. And as a result, all through the past, we've never really learned or become accustomed to thinking about money as a tool. It's something that's been kept out of our hands. Even in America, and I think this is still true in many parts of the world, but even in America, women weren't even allowed to have bank accounts without their husband or their father's name on the bank account until sometime in the mid 1900s, like in the last 20, 30 years. So 40 years, I guess now. So we've not had a need to really understand or do anything with money until we started to work and earn it ourselves and start sort of creating a financial base that we could have of our own. And so a lot of the work that I do is helping women to just understand that money is not something magical. It's a tool. We don't chase money. It is a reflection of value, and it's a reflection of our value. And part of the dialogue over the last few decades in America has been this idea that women have always stayed home. They take care of the family. They've never been paid to do that. It's just been a role that they carried. And then they wanted to go out to work, and that caused a lot of disruption in the economy, but also in families. And so there was this idea that, well, you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for the money. So when you go out to work, it's because of a bunch of personal things, but you still have to do all the same work that you always ever did. So when you get home, you get to pick up what you would have been doing if you weren't going out to work, and you're kind of on your own. And in my generation, my parents' generation, and what I grew up in, that's what it was like. It's only in the last couple of generations, the younger generations, that those models have changed, and our relationship to money, our relationship to our role as women in society has started to change and be recognized that we can be independent and we can have our own money and we can decide what we're going to do with it. And we don't need to wait for somebody else to tell us what we can do and whether we can have it. We get to make those decisions for ourselves. And so that's part of the work that I do. And then once we've accepted that, then it's a matter of what are we going to do with it, and how do we grow it, and how do we sort of make the most of it so that we can have the independence and do the things that we want to do with our lives. And so those are the kinds of things we go through. And there's very tactical work as well. How do you actually do those investments? How do you decide what you're going to buy, and how do you put that into a portfolio that will be there for life? Because we're going to be around a lot longer than we expected. maybe in the past. We're living much longer lives. And so we have to be much more thoughtful about what we do with our money, because it has to last us a lot longer. And we don't necessarily want to be working into our 80s and 90s. And therefore, we have to have done something to prepare for that. And that's really where we start, is what does it need to do for us? How long are we going to need it, and how are we going to make sure that we're secure for the rest of our lives?
Thank you so much.
So, Susan, what would you say? You know, there are a lot of, I believe, a lot of people out there, not necessarily just women, who have a lot of baggage attached to that bad name that money's been given. I mean, I can remember my mother saying, you know, rich people are not nice people. Not that we were particularly poor, but very wealthy people are affluent, and they're nasty people, and money is the root of all evil was one of her favorite ones. And you know, when that's instilled in you as a child, how do you help people to move past that are still unconsciously attached to those mantras?
Yeah, it's that is the problem. You know, there's all kinds of places where we've been taught to believe that money is bad, that it's evil, and only greedy people want money and they go after money. And that's, there are messages that are out there because we've always had this mentality of scarcity. The world works on this mentality. In fact, the economy works on this mentality of scarcity. And if you live in a world of scarcity, then you're going to feel like if you have something, then somebody else can't. And if that's what you've been brought up in, then everybody is working towards this idea that I need more and you need less. And even you see that even amongst men. It's just that because of our role historically, women were never seen as having access to money at all, because that would just mean having to share it with even more people. And so it was a tool that was created for trade, and that whole idea of I need more created this mentality that if everybody's going after getting the more of it, then obviously it's a bad thing. But I think I don't try to counter it. I try to we have those beliefs, though we grow up with those beliefs. But I think when we sit and challenge them and we look at ourselves and we go, well, why would we believe that? Because we have to have money to survive. We have to have money. It's how our economy works. It's been, it was a long time ago that we could trade one service for another, but money is really just that tool that allows us to trade one service for another at a time when the service that you provide isn't necessarily something that I need. And therefore I have to have this medium in between so that I can give a service and then store that value back. That trade comes back to me as money that I can then use to go and trade with someone else for the service that I need from them. And so when you recognize that it's just a tool and you don't tie your emotion to the money itself, but you tie it to what it represents, then it loses that sense of negativity. Because when you think of what those comments are, it's things like Midas sitting and putting his hands through his gold, or just they use these individuals or these characters to represent greedy people that are holding all of this for themselves and not sharing it with anybody else. And so if you're on the side of not having any of it, then you're going to feel like those are the bad people because they're not willing to share with me. And so when we challenge that, we go, well, then what is it really? And what it really is a reflection of value. And you have to understand that it's a reflection of value. My biggest frustration actually is not that we carry these bad messages forward, but that because of those bad messages, women will do all kinds of work without expecting to get paid for it. And that's the real struggle, is not that they think that other people are bad for having money, but that somehow that means that they don't deserve to have the money themselves. And so that's really what we have to break through first, is that idea. And it's very common. You see it when you're working with women entrepreneurs, where they really struggle to ask to get paid. They really struggle to share what their prices are for the products that they sell. They feel like they have to justify why they do what they do, and they're willing to give away much of their time for free because they have not accepted within themselves that their time and effort is the value, and that they should expect to be paid for that, just like anyone else, just like a man is. And once they start to understand that, then it becomes much easier to draw it to yourself. As long as you think that it's evil and bad, it's just not going to come to you, because it comes to those who embrace it. It comes to those that say, I have value, and my value is worth something. And when I give of myself, then I expect something in return. We expect in return, when we give love, we expect love in return. It is no different. When we give value, we should expect value in return. And money is just a holder place for the value that the other person is trading for the value that you're giving. And so it's there. You're right. There's history here that we have to overcome, but it's about facing that history, facing those beliefs, and asking yourself if you really believe them, or if you've just sort of accepted them without thought, without conscious thought.
Susan, yes, there's a lot of really good points that you brought up there. And I think to your last point, and Jeanette, I'd love to have you weigh in on this as well, is that I was told when I was younger that you can never be too rich or too thin. And that regardless of a man's height, that he's very tall when he stands on his money, these types of things. And so no matter how much money I've made in my life, whatever man I was with at the time would always say it wasn't enough, or that you're better than that, or you deserve more than that, or they're not paying you your worth. And I was always happy with whatever I was making. And today I don't make anywhere near what I used to make when I was in corporate, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. But there's still those voices, you're not good enough, so I think maybe it takes a lot of effort to quiet those voices and to just say, I am worth my value. I do know my value. The other thing you brought up, I absolutely love, is that we as women give away too much for free. And it's difficult to ask people for money. I still have a hard time dealing with money because I'm friends with so many people that are paying me money that it's hard to actually have those conversations. So I think there's a lot of work that has to be done all around.
Yes, I agree. It's a struggle. Well, we're battling something that's been part of our culture, not even culture, sort of our history as humans. It's something that we've been battling from the beginning. If you go back from the very beginning, in society, we had roles that we played, and the roles that were expected of us were seen as roles that we wanted, and therefore somehow that should make us be just thankful that we have this role. I remember my parents fought a lot about money, and as I grew up I saw this struggle, and it was they grew up, they were young family at that transition time of the 50s and 60s, where we were coming out of that age of women's roles were at home with family, cleaning the house, doing all this, and the man's role was go to work. And if your wife has to work, then that means that you as a man aren't doing your job. That how dare that be the situation? And so there were this isn't just the women having a problem with this. This was men had their own standards and expectations that they were being held accountable to. And so then as we moved into the 60s and that whole revolution of women finally making a stand for themselves and going, we're going to work and we're going to be able to choose how many children we want, and we're going to decide whether to get married or not. Although that really became much later, but even divorce started to become a thing. It started to sort of become prevalent in the 70s. And all of these societal changes were happening because for all of history up to that point, like thousands of years, we had maintained these roles that were separate and that kind of depended on each other. But we had now moved to a point in our experience, and with technology, really it was technology that changed everything. We didn't have to keep those roles so strict anymore, and we had the choice to change who did which things. If you look at the young people today, there's as many young men staying home because their wives can make more money than they can, and they're not intimidated by that. They haven't necessarily grown up with the belief that if they're not working, somehow they're a failure. The two of them have decided, look, she's the one that can get the better paying job because she actually works harder than I do. And that means I get to stay home and be with the kids. And so those roles are changing over time. It's not everybody, but that's what's so beautiful about it, is it's not everybody. You get to choose. Everybody gets to choose now which role you want to take, or whether you want to share the role. For a long time, most of them were everybody went out to work and everybody then had to figure out how to share the roles at home. And that's probably a really good balance. But this is all really recent. We're only talking a few decades where we've had those kinds of choices. And so everything else that we've known, what we've grown up with, especially for you and I, in our generation, those old roles were still very strong. And so that all of those truisms that we grew up with, all of those sayings and all of those thoughts, those were things that come from an old time, an old thinking pattern, but they're part of the DNA. They're part of what we grew up in. And to change anything, it's like a habit. To change anything, it takes intention and it takes learning. And you have to go out and you have to practice the new habits. You have to practice the new thought patterns if you're going to actually change how you think. Everything that we're talking about here, this is generational. I do not have these same conversations with young women. Young women don't even get it. Like, in their minds, they should be able to do anything they want. They have no problem asking for money. Young girls today, they're out there, they're doing their own investing. I don't work with them because they don't need me. They are out there already doing it, and they're teaching each other how to do it. And I love it. I think it's wonderful. But there is this generation, my generation really, who we are now getting to a stage where we are looking at retirement. We don't want to work till we're 90, but the odds of us living to the 90s and even into our hundreds now is very real. And we will live longer than our male partners. And that means we have to make sure that we've done something about this. And it starts first with how we think. It starts first with recognizing that we have value, and then that we can expect something from that. It's very interesting. We're very stuck in this economy world, and the economy drives a lot of what we think and how we do this. But that's also changing. So
Yeah. There's so much there to pack in and take home, and there are two things that I observed with what you said. It would appear to me, when working with couples where the roles have been reversed, is that there's an agreement there that both of them are doing what they want to do. It's not like I have to be the house husband. It's in, we were talking about this last week, it's in their value system to be at home, to look after the and so on. And then also early on what you were saying, it's being able to understand also, and I wondered if you'd agree with this, that when you're charging your worth, and you are providing that worth, you're bringing in more money so that you can do more of the work and get to more people, because you can't get to people if you're not earning.
Right.
And that's a big thing as well.
Yeah, that is
Dr.
really
JACALYN,
the key.
I know. Yeah, we've got a delay. Dr. JACALYN, I know we're at the wrapping up stages. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, thank you, Janetta. One thing I think is really interesting, and I feel is an inspiration, is that Susan just shared about younger women not having the same issues that we have in our generation. And I think that's really exciting, because even at my age, 59, still having issues with money is not a great place to be, right? The way you think about money, and it affects us in so many ways. It can affect our health mentally and physically. And to hear that the younger generations don't have that issue, that makes me very happy. But Susan, what I was wondering is, we saw your virtual office there on the metaverse, and I would love for people to be able to go there. Is there some link that you can share about how people can get that, go there and work with you?
The best way is to contact me through LinkedIn, and the link is there at the bottom of the screen. The way you join me in the metaverse is when you book a call with me. Then when we connect over Zoom, then I bring you into that space, and that's where we talk.
Okay, so fantastic. So you like people to reach out to you first on LinkedIn, and then you'll go from there.
Yeah, that's the easiest way.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Susan, as we close out, I would love for you to share any last thoughts that you have, words of encouragement when it comes to women and money. What do you have to say?
I think to understand that everything in the world that we exist in is for us. And to recognize that we are the value. It's what we do and who we are is what this is all about. All business is about interaction. It's about the people. All interaction is about the relationships of individuals. In everything that we do, whether it's private or business, it's the interactions. And the interactions are important because we are the value. The money is not the value. The products aren't the value. It's we, the people. We're the value. And if you recognize yourself as the value in the room, then you realize that the rest of it is there just for our use, and we are there to be with each other. And then you can see how important you are, and then you can charge accordingly. It's you. You're the only thing there is.
I love that. Very well said. Thank you. Thank you. Susan, I really appreciate what you shared today, and I know you want people to reach out to you through LinkedIn. If you could just summarize again, what are the services that you offer?
So I have a one-on-one training for helping people to move from wherever they are into a place where they have an investment portfolio that can support them for life. I have a group program where women come together. We talk about what's going on in the world, and we talk about how to invest and share ideas with each other, and just sort of do this journey together, because investing is a journey. And then I have some workshops that I do just for specific topics. And I actually have a workshop on Friday called Surviving the Bear. It is about how to manage your investments if you have some already, or how to get into investing right now while we're in a down market, because this is the best time to be starting as an investor, because everything is cheap right now. Everything is down, and this is when we buy. Everything is on sale. We all understand about going and buying things when they're on sale. Well, that's why we buy into investments today, because they're on sale. This is not a time to be afraid. This is a time to actually become an investor if you're not already. So those are probably the three main areas. And then there's small things that you can do.
Thank you very much, Susan. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I hope you'll come back and see us on our business show or any of the other shows where we can support your work.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was great being able to talk to your audience.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much, JENETTA, for bringing Susan to the platform. I love when we have new people coming here. JENETTA, what are your thoughts about money as we wrap up? How are you going to look at money differently?
Well, for one thing, I tend to take the investments I have and put them to one side and go, let them do it, because I find it overwhelming. So listening to Susan now, that I really do want to change and do something about those and put some love into them. And they're non-touchable investments. So that to me is a big, nice 2023 step forward for me as well. So yeah, that's how I see it, and it's wonderful to hear somebody who deals with money all the time, the way that Susan has and does, to hear it said in fresh new words. So I feel that, you know, if it can make a difference to one person today and they can step forward and feel stronger and more resilient, then that's what this program is about. Because when you haven't got money, your mental health and depression can kick in like that in seconds. So thank you, Susan, for being with us today.
Thank you so much. I agree. And I think there's just something really exciting about passive income, where money just is coming in while you're doing something else. I love that. So, JENETTA, we're going to close out now. What is the best way for people to reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you?
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Anybody who's finding that life is very challenging at the moment, and there are a lot of people out there. I have somebody right now who contacted me and said, wow, I really need to find out how to re-energize my battery. And I know it's because my internal talk is being compromised. So if you're finding that there's a lot of contradiction going on inside you, you are good, you're not good. You are successful, you're not successful. You are lovable, you're not lovable. If you're having those conflicting conversations, then I would love to invite you to come and join me, because they are highly manageable. When you learn how to unconsciously deal with them, step forward and use some very powerful and accurate tools so that they change without you having to say, no, I must say this, or to say it differently. Suddenly, the most heartfelt, appropriate, wise words start coming out of your mouth. If you'd like to know how to change your internal dialogue to have external dialogue that's equally as wise, with response from everybody you deal with that is entirely different to what you're used to, then please do talk to me, because I can help you. And you can get hold of me at JENETTA, JENETTA, at theepiphanyprocess.com. And if you'd like to know more about the Epiphany Process, that's theepiphanyprocess.com. And we've got a couple of charities attached to there too, to do with mental health. And if you'd like to read up on that too, they're there. And talk to me some more if you'd like to get involved. And once again, thank you so much for being with us again this week. I think this program is vitally important for so many in these times of grand change and stress.
Absolutely, JENETTA. Thank you so much. Another great show, and thanks to our audience for being here. As we close out, I'm just going to play something that hopefully you'll find to be a little uplifting. It is a music video that is called Listening Lazies by La La Music, and it was written by Dr. Madeline Chan, Mariska Duprier, and myself, and it is in alignment with a book that we published called Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. So let's take a look, and then we'll see you next week. Thank you.
When we speak, we don't hear. It's abundantly clear. Listening lazy creeping, and nobody's gonna win. Look someone in the eye. If you don't, they surely will cry. You don't hear a word I say, 'cause you always look straight away. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies. Da 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 da. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies. When you interrupt your friend, you will surely have to make amends. Lady Ella knows the way to help you listen better every day. And what's that? It's listening lazy. Ba-da-ba-ba. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies. Listening lazies drive people crazy. Listening lazies making us blue. Listening lazies, communication goes hazy. Listening lazies, listening lazies, listening lazies.
Well, I hope that brought a little joy to you, maybe a little movement and a smile on your face. So we would love to have you order our books. It's still this the second book and the first book in the series. They are #1 new releases on Amazon. They are for children and their families to teach us how to listen at an elevated level. If you'd like to download Listening Lazies, it's available on all major platforms. Thank you so much. We will be back with the United Kingdom news and culture. So do stay tuned wherever it is that you are. Stay with us. Thanks again. Bye.